Some years ago, a columnist named Charlie Reese at the Orlando Sentinel newspaper wrote an interesting column which has become famous. And in this congressional election period, I'd like to repeat that column for all those who may have missed it in the past and for those who have forgotten that column that is so close to what we need to know today. It was titled 545 versus 300 million. He said, politicians are the only people in the world who cause problems and then campaign against them. Have you ever wondered if both the Democrats and the Republicans are against deficits, why we have deficits? Have you ever wondered if all the politicians are against inflation and high taxes, why do we have inflation and high taxes? You and I don't propose a federal budget. The president does. You and I don't have the constitutional authority to vote on appropriations. The House of Representatives does. You and I don't write the tax code. Congress does. You and I don't set fiscal policy. Congress does. You and I don't control monetary policy. The Federal Reserve Bank does. 100 senators, 435 congressmen, 1 president, and 9 Supreme Court justices equals 545 human beings out of our 300 million in this country. And they are directly, legally, morally, and individually responsible for the domestic problems that plague our country. I excluded the members of the Federal Reserve Board. That problem was caused by Congress, because that problem was created by Congress. In 1913, Congress delegated the constitutional duty to provide a sound currency to a federally chartered but private central bank. I excluded all the special interests and lobbyists for a second reason. They have no legal authority. They have no ability to coerce a senator, a congressman, or a president to do one cotton-picking thing. I don't care if they offer a politician $1 million in cash. The politician has the power to accept it or reject it, no matter what the lobbyist promises. It is the legislator's responsibility to determine how he votes. Those 545 human beings spend much of their energy convincing you that what they did is not their fault. They cooperate in this common con regardless of party. What separates a politician from a normal human being is an excessive amount of gall. No normal human being would have the gall of a speaker who stood up and criticized the president for creating deficits. The president can only propose a budget. He can't force the Congress to accept it. The Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, gives sole responsibility to the House of Representatives for originating and who is the Speaker of the House? Nancy Pelosi. She is the leader of the majority party. She and fellow House members, not the president, can approve any budget they want. If the president vetoes it, they can pass it over his veto, if they agree to. It seems inconceivable to me that a nation of 300 million cannot replace 545 people who stand convicted by present facts of incompetence and irresponsibility. I can't think of a single domestic problem that is not traceable directly to those 545 people. When you fully grasp the plain truth that 545 people exercise the power of the federal government, then it must follow that what exists is what they want to exist. If the tax code is unfair, it's because they want it unfair. If the budget is in the red, it's because they want it in the red. If the Army and the Marines are in Iraq, it's because they want them in Iraq. If they do not receive Social Security or on an elite retirement plan not available to the people, it's because they want it that way. There are no insolvable government problems. Do not let these 545 people shift the blame to bureaucrats, whom they hire and whose jobs they can abolish, to lobbyists whose gifts and advice they can reject, to regulators to whom they give the power to regulate and from whom they can take that power. Above all, do not let them con you into the belief that there exists disembodied mystical forces like the economy, inflation, or politics that prevent them from doing what they take an oath to do. Those 540 people, and they alone, are responsible. They and they alone have the power. They and they alone should be held accountable by the people who are their bosses, provided the voters have the gumption to manage their own employees. We should, rather must, vote all of them out of office and clean up their mess. Charlie Reese wrote that many years ago, and it's true. It's still true today. My recipe for that is never re-elect anyone in Congress and do it every election. What you do with this article, now that you've heard it, is up to you. I'm Nelson Lee Walker of TenureCorrupts.com.